off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night vVv Gaming. So this is going to be game 3 in this best of 7 series. Right now we have RuFF versus Rocketeer on Shattered Temple. Mirror match, Terran versus Terran, green versus blue.
Going to be really interested in the positions here, as we do see them spawning vVv RuFF as the blue Terran in the eastern position and Rocketeer as the green Terran in the northern position. And they are close by air, which is exactly what I wanted to see, just because it opens up a whole different set of strategies. Using early drops, Hellion drops, Marine drops can be very powerful here. So I'd like to see kind of a fight over that big chasm between the two players.
Yeah, just the close spawning locations here, just by air, Banshees, Marine drops, Hellion drops, like you mentioned, you got to be very careful how you play. But if you tech too quickly and then your opponent is able to just get Marines and siege tanks onto your front door, that's also a dangerous proposition as well. I'm also interested to see whether or not we're going to have any fast expansion attempts, or any expansion, I would say, faster than the 6-minute mark, just because of how vulnerable how much damage those early Terran units can do, the Hellions, those Marines, one medevac, putting pressure, and then being able to move in and move out.
Yeah, we'll see right now both players, actually RuFF is going to be a little bit farther with that supply depot placing at the top of the ramp, and Rocketeer keeping everything close to home. So RuFF is going to be able to deny scouting here with that early Marine pretty quickly. Rocketeer going to have a little bit more of a walking distance from his racks, but again, really interested to see how the builds deviate here. It looks like RuFF is going to have his gas a little bit earlier than Rocketeer, so we'll see whether he goes for some sort of tech, quick factory, or I'm not really sure what could be happening here.
Yeah, pretty much this is a Terran mirror match, and having the production tabs mirror each other isn't too much of an abnormality, especially since there's only 1 or 2 ways a Terran player can really open up. The gas, getting that early gas down is very, very important. I would be absolutely surprised if I saw RuFF actually try to go for a triple racks Marine pressure even against another Terran player. We are getting that tech lab down now, so we may be going into a Reaper expansion by RuFF, but because of that Reaper first, what we're most likely going to see is that the SCV will be able to make its way inside the base. It doesn't look like the supply depot will be coming up at all, as we now see the Marine just trying to shoo away this one SCV. SCV already down to 9 hit points, and he's not going to be able to see much of anything else, as Rocketeer now goes for that all-important second gas.
Yeah, Rocketeer did have the 1 gas, and RuFF was able to see it, and we do have the Reaper about to finish for RuFF, so we'll see how much scouting and damage he's able to do. Looks like that Reaper he's kind of cued to perhaps break down these destructible rocks, as RuFF starting a command center here by the gold, and that Reaper is going to start on those destructible rocks, again doing the bonus damage against armored, so he will be able to take those down perhaps alongside this command center finishing. And if RuFF is able to get in that gold early on here, he could have quite the economic advantage.
Yeah, this is something that I haven't seen in quite some time, where RuFF is trying to clear the gold command set, or the gold destructible rocks first as his natural expansion. You can see that a lot of Marines are being trained by Rocketeer. Rocketeer, very, very smart, expecting Reapers to jump inside his base, but the Reapers are dealing damage towards the rocks instead. One of the benefits of Reapers against these destructible rocks, that bonus armor of 3 doesn't really make that much of a difference when you're getting hit by a 30 damage D8 charge.
Yeah, and Rocketeer is going for that 1-1-1 build. He's going to have the starport finishing momentarily, coming out with a Hellion out of that factory. So he's going to be able to get a little bit more scouting information with that Hellion, and we're going to have the command center of RuFF finish, and it's going to be able to land right in the where the destructible rocks used to be, as now we have 3 Reapers working those down. So a lot of Reapers here, and RuFF, great timing. He's going to have the SCVs transferred over here, and he's going to be on the gold at the 5:45 mark of this game.
Yeah, so I've never seen a gold expansion this early in the game, and we'll see whether these Reapers are going to be able to get any serious damage off. There's an army of Marines up on the high ground, and now just simply taking down all of those Reapers in just an instant. So, wow, RuFF, absolutely surprised by that, but Rocketeer, knowing that Reapers most likely would be coming in, getting into the proper position, and now, with the Starport and the Tech Lab, we may be going into Banshees.
Yeah, there's a tech lab on both the factory and the starport, so we have the first Banshee on the way, along with a Hellion. Not sure any research has been started on the tech lab on the factory yet.
Yeah, so I don't quite see why the tech lab's down. Perhaps siege tanks will be coming out in just a moment. Taking a look at the income, you can see a significant advantage by RuFF. The fact that he's, calling in mules over here at the orbital command, very, very important. And most likely, we're going to have a lot of pressure and a lot of Banshee play trying to put pressure onto the main base. There is one missile turret down, so the missile turret should be able to at least reveal that Banshee if it does try to cloak. And RuFF is getting a reactor onto the barracks. He is going for mass Marine play, so it is going to be a lot of Marines putting pressure. That stim pack is now being completed.
Yeah, I like this from RuFF, adding those production buildings and going to be coming out with, again, a ton of Marines, and that's exactly what you need to do when you're on the gold that quickly. We have 24 harvesters to 28, but the income almost not quite doubled, but got quite the advantage here for RuFF as those mules are dropped, both of them from both orbital commands on that rich mineral field, the gold, and taking in about 13 to 1400 minerals per minute compared to the 8 or 900 of Rocketeer. Rocketeer just now starting his command center, so he's going to be behind income wise. He's got to do some damage with this tech.
Yeah, he did get a decent number of kills. 2 kills with that Banshee and stopped gas mining for a little bit. But RuFF is having a problem in that he's only sitting at 46 over 46 food. He is supply locked, and he doesn't seem to be getting enough supply depots, especially when you're running off of 4 Raxes, that 2 of them with reactors and then 1 more with a tech lab. That is a lot to really just try to control as the Hellions are now making their way out. Will they try to scout out this gold mineral patch is a key question. Siege tech also being started as well. So this gold mineral patch may not last very long at all.
And Rocketeer coming in with Cloak Banshees, there's enough for 1 scan for RuFF, so he's going to scan and take out both of those Banshees, so that's huge as he does not yet have enough for another scan, and now he's going to have to defend here, and RuFF has a lot of units queued up out of these barracks, not doing a good job with his macro, as you mentioned before. Siege tanks and Marines at his front door.
Yeah, the tech lab needs about 2 more seconds to finish the combat shield, and it doesn't look like it finishes. No, 1 second away, and now RuFF in a little bit of a dangerous patch, but maybe able to catch a Banshee in transit, and down to 14 hit points, able to cloak at just the right moment there. Rocketeer getting a lot of damage here on the front door. Siege tanks, Marines are now trying to push in, and as well as both sides doing a bit of a flank here from the Marines on the far side as well, and it looks like this pressure may get cleaned up rather nicely.
Yeah, RuFF did have his stim pack there, and I'm not sure Rocketeer had that. So RuFF had the superior DPS there, and again, he did a very nice job peeking off those Banshees. I think that if Rocketeer had known about that gold, he would have been able to do significant amounts of damage, really hurt the economy of RuFF, but he got stuck on that ramp. He was a little bit mismicroing there, that attack. Some of his units were not attacking, really needed to move up and be in a better position there. So RuFF was able to fend that off, and now I have to give the advantage to him as he's adding more and more racks.
Yeah, RuFF, I don't know if I just noticed that he already finished the level 1 weapons upgrade. I don't know when he found the time to do that, but he's going to get a lot of damage with those Marines. Level 1 weapons upgrade plus stim pack already at this stage in the game, and it's looking like Rocketeer was trying to put as much pressure as possible, and I don't believe Rocketeer knows how far behind he is right now.
Now, Rocketeer does have Siege Tech, and he's also got these Cloak Banshees, both of which are quite powerful on defense. If RuFF does not have enough scans when he attacks, he's going to have no mobile detection, so those Banshees can rip apart those Marines. And then the Siege Tanks, if they're well positioned, can also do a ton of damage against a mostly Marine force, as we see the Banshee doing its best to get as much damage as possible here. RuFF placing up a number of missile turrets, does not want to be subject to Banshee attacks when he does finally move out here.
Yeah, RuFF also expanding, taking his natural expansion now at the proper time, so Rocketeer most likely will not come across that expansion anytime soon. An SCV is also scouting out, and it will not see anything for a little while as well. The SCV may try to pass by, and it will actually get shot by that bunker, revealing the fact that RuFF does have that gold mineral patch already.
Yeah, we see Rocketeer trying to add a number of production structures. Again, he opened 111 there, so he is a little bit behind production-wise, but he's adding more and more racks, a second factory as well with a tech lab, so may just be going for some heavy tank and heavy marine play, as we see in most TVTs.
Yeah, Rocketeer finally noticing that the gold mineral patch is currently up and running. He scouted that out with an SCV. You can see Marines are in the center of the map, and it looks like a Banshee already going to make another move. The siege tanks are going to siege up, and this is going to be really bad here as the siege tanks absolutely destroy RuFF's army one at a time. There's only a couple siege tanks left. I believe the rest of the siege tanks may get taken down, but the Banshees could finish off the rest of this army here.
Yeah, did have enough for a scan at the very end there, but again, those Banshees are just so powerful on defense if you are not prepared with scans. Difficult to get a Raven out with all this bio. We do see a starport finally out for a RuFF, so we may be adding perhaps a Raven so that he can take on those Banshees and maybe even start the medevac production as well.
Okay, this is the first time I've ever seen this matron, but at the 14-minute mark, the gold mineral patches are pretty much gone.
Yeah, and he's got an orbital command, which means he's going to be able to pick that up right away and place it behind the rocks and continue to have 3 mining bases there. So not using a planetary fortress there means that he is going to be highly mobile. As we see Rocketeer pushing in here, does know about the gold expansion, and is going to be shelling this bunker with both the siege tank and the Banshees. Yeah,
I like the play by RuFF as well. RuFF transferred all of his SCVs to his natural expansion, so he's not in danger of losing any serious number of SCVs. RuFF could easily lift off the orbital command, as you mentioned, as there's not that many Banshees, and the Marines and the Marauders now trying to do another push here. There's a bunker here as well, but that's going to get taken down as both sides are just continuing to just exchange once again. There's not that many Marines that finish off that Banshee. There's another scanner sweep, another siege tank getting into position, but Rocketeer going to lose this attacking force once more.
Yeah, RuFF doing a nice job there, scanning, seeing one of the tanks was unsieged, and stimming, pushing forward, sniping that down, taking down the bunker very quickly too with those Marauders, and he's got that 1-0 upgrade, so doing 22 damage with those Marauders. With stim, it's a ton of damage against those tanks and the bunkers, and Rocketeer once again going to have to go home with his tail between his legs, and not really sure what he's going to be able to do. We'll see if RuFF does pick up that command center from the gold and place it down at a third, but I imagine his economy is rocking now compared to his opponent, even with fewer SCVs.
Yeah, you can see that the gold rocks are now being cleared by Rocketeer. Rocketeer wants to do an expansion of his own. The Marines are now on the move by Rocketeer, returning home as another command center coming in for RuFF. So RuFF taking the low ground expansion at the 5 o'clock location. And it looks like this is a completely different side of RuFF as opposed to last game where he just pushed out and put a lot of early pressure. We're seeing a much more macro heavy style. We are getting that armory now, so RuFF should be able to get the level 2 upgrades very, very quickly, as we are now hearing medevacs perhaps trying to do a drop.
Yeah, he's got 3 medevacs full, and we see a scan there from Rocketeer. So Rocketeer may see these medevacs pushing out. He's actually pulling back with his army, or at least he was momentarily there. And he's got a number of missile turrets here ready to intercept those medevacs. So smart play on his part, and he might be able to shoot them down. The missile turret doing its best here to try to focus down the one medevac. It's going to be able to get all of its units out. There's only 3 medevacs left, but quickly able to focus down the marine or the missile turret and out taking down some supply depots. And the supply depots actually had the supply drop on them, so he's getting a 2-for-1 deal focusing those down.
Yeah, he's putting pressure on the front door and the back door at the same time. The army inside the base, RuFF just able to make his way through. 2 siege tanks are going to be able to siege up, but that's not going to be any good at all. There's only a couple Marines. Rocketeer sitting at 99 over 43 food, and he's going to be supply locked for quite some time.
Yeah, 99 over 19 at the moment, so he will be supply blocked for eternity. And he's also just has the 1 base up at the moment. The command center was halted construction by the gold, as we see the units of RuFF taking on Rocketeer, and Rocketeer is finally able to take those down. But so much damage was done by that drop. I like that RuFF saw those missile turrets. He didn't hesitate. He just pulled back for a moment and then went forward. He knew that the army was out of position, hit the front door and the back, and now Rocketeer at a huge disadvantage. It's 1-1 now, 19 to 81, but Rocketeer is really going to be hampered income-wise for a while.
Yeah, I think using those supply drops, especially at this stage in the game, this early, and then losing them all, the supply drops just, clearing up, I believe it's 16 food for every 400 points of damage, and, RuFF just absolutely is just locking Rocketeer right now. Rocketeer sitting at 900 minerals as a drop now coming in, and RuFF now coming in as well. So just getting a lot of damage on top of these units, and this siege line will absolutely get destroyed. It looks like RuFF has a couple Marines left and a lot of medevacs, and all the SCVs trying to do some long distance mining are just going to get him killed once again.
Yeah, both players sort of trading one for one here, taking down their whole armies. As we see, RuFF doesn't have too much left of this army. It's just going to be taking down some barracks here, as Rocketeer doing his best to get out a defending force. But if you check the income counting station, basically RuFF is at double the income at the moment, and once he drops mules, he fires up to about 3 times the income. Once again, supply blocking Rocketeer, taking down the supply depot. So interesting choice of what he's taking down here. Not focusing down the barracks. He says, you know what, you can keep those production structures. I'm just going to be taking down your supply depots. As we see, the SCV is doing their best to get a surround on these Marauders, but not a very good angle, getting caught between the 2 barracks here. We do see a siege tank able to clean up these Marauders, and the 2 medevacs here will be able to, no, they will also get focused down. So Rocketeer able to once again withstand that attack, but 126 now, 128 to 42. And I think this one might be in the bag for RuFF.
Yeah, RuFF adding a little bit of cuteness to his play now, going for Ghost, and you can see that two nukes are currently being armed, and we are going to have a nuclear launch detected in just a moment. There you go, there's the cloak, and there's 1 nuke already being brought into position, a second Ghost already in position as well, and there's the GG, and I will stick around.
Yeah, me too.
I will stick around just for the nuke, as we are recording this, and there it goes, destroying so many SCVs.
Yeah, beautiful way to end the game. And again, as you mentioned, a different strategy coming out for RuFF there. Typically, we see that Reaper expand. It's a pretty standard strategy, and Rocketeer was ready for it. What he was not ready for was the Reaper expand into the immediate gold base, and he did not scout it. His initial push did not work. I think that was going to be his opportunity to win the game. And at that point, RuFF was on 2 bases. One of them was a gold, and he was just able to power ahead. And also had some nice micro there, some nice drops. Pretty good game all around from vVv RuFF.
Yeah, I was really impressed by RuFF. I mean, just going for a fast Reaper to take down the gold mineral rocks, very, very clutch play, I would say, being able to clear out those rocks and knowing the timing. I mean, RuFF had this timing down. It wasn't like, I'm going to try something completely new. You could tell by the timing on when those rocks were cleared, by the transferring of the SCVs. He practiced this a lot, and this isn't something he did on the fly, and it really, really showed.